Ohio gozaimasu, and welcome to the MrMaple Show. I'm Tim, that's my brother Matt, and we're going to talk about 10 of the 20 trees getting listed today. That's January 2nd of 2025 at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Guys, season's greetings. We got some great plants for you guys. I hope you're having a happy new year. We're ringing it in big time style with a lot of cool plants. Let's jump right into it, guys. Strawberry Spring to get you ready for spring. Now, this is just 10 of the 20. You'll want to check out that email to see the other 10 listed. But there's some doozies here today. Great sizes on the Strawberry Spring. Talon Buchholz introduction. Nothing makes me think about springtime like Strawberry Spring.
It's got amazing baby pink color in the early spring that stands out from any of the other reticulated Japanese maples. It's got a good upright form. We have a full breakdown of this in Oregon at Buchholz's home, Talon Buchholz's home, where you can see how this tree shaped. It is extremely beautiful. Y'all, it's a rock star. It's an easy tree to grow and to give you some wham in the early spring.
Some wham. Now, for all the people that copy what we say verbatim, this one was named for Daryl Strawberry in spring training. Talon used to run into him a lot spring training. They used to party a little bit together. Great guy. Strawberry Spring, grab you one a day.
All right, guys, next up we've got Easter Palmatum Dixie Delight. This is a multi-stemmed coral bark Japanese maple. To get some orange color towards the base, some more of that yellow towards the tipping. It's got that orange in the between. And the thing I like about it is it's short and more shrub-like for a coral bark.
I think we need a Patreon for all the good stuff that happens in between the takes. That might not be... Guys, Dixie Delight is awesome. Tends to be very multi-stemmed. Awesome plant, guys. Really colorful. This one can have some really nice, like, bright orangey pinks and reds in there. And mixed in with some yellows at times, too. Really showy. Wants to be more multi-stemmed, which is a nice characteristic, too.
Yeah, selection by our friend, the late Mike Francis Sr. I love the selection. It just fits in the garden so well. It is a coral bark type, so give it a backdrop to really show it off very well. And something like an evergreen backdrop, a backdrop of a building, it makes it pop more so you can really see the brightness and colors of the bark. Y'all, awesome coral bark winter interest tree.
Great spring color, green going to a golden yellow in the fall with splashes of red in it. Crisp, can handle a good bit of sun. These are going to work zones 6 through zone 9, so you don't want them in that zone 5, but all around, just a phenomenal coral bark. I think it's a great coral bark, especially for container gardening. All right, guys, let's bring back Hogyoku.
Yeah, we got some great size 2 gallons from the Buchholz farm. I mean, the bases on these are about the size of my thumb, maybe a little bit thicker. I mean, they've got some really nice thickness to them. It's one of those trees that has some amazing fall color, goes to some really bold oranges.
A lot of thickness to these bases. They are very thick. They got a lot of base. I love them. Great fall color on this one as well, guys. When you think about Hogyoku, you think about it showing out being the quintessential orange Japanese maple for the fall. Can really rival sugar maples for that fall time interest. Absolutely love it. Fast growing too. It was on our fast growing trees list we recently did as a podcast, so check that out. Typically over a foot to sometimes even 1.5 foot of growth a year. It's going to give you a lot of shade for your smaller plants. Does make a larger tree overall. Absolutely love it. Crisp, kind of a Kelly green in the spring and summer, going to that orange in the fall. Pairs so well with so many trees because of that fall color. You can really line this one up to kind of maximize your fall potential.
Y'all, next up we've got some Beniotakis. You see we've got them in some regular 1 gallons and some XL 1 gallons. Beniotaki is one of those linear-lobum bamboo Japanese maples that gives that cherry red color with that nice linear-lobum strap-like leaf.
Yeah, I remember when we were first trying to learn how to pronounce things in Japanese, and we would say Beniotake, and people would be like, "What? I don't know what you're talking about." you know, you kind of learn some basics to kind of improve over time. Not that we say everything perfectly, and there'll be that guy that corrects us in every video. Anyway, Beniotaki, though, phenomenal linear-lobum. The name means red bamboo, and you're going to get everything you love about bamboo with red foliage, but in a Japanese maple format. So you get that open, whimsical feel to this one, but you don't get that crazy root system. You get a non-invasive root system. You get great spring colors, great fall colors, a lot of ever-changing beauty. Beniotaki, it just makes a beautiful tree in the landscape. You know, typically 15 foot, over a foot of growth a year. Just an absolute specimen. I love this one as you get it out too. It really can shade out some smaller plants, but also add a unique texture for a larger tree.
It's a selection by Edsel Woods, who was a collector in the Oregon-Washington area. He made good friends with many nurserymen. He'd host these big auctions and spaghetti dinners, and he would auction off his cool, new, neat introductions, his seedlings, and Beniotaki was one of them. And that's kind of cool how that tree's got that sort of history. An amazing tree, easy to grow. It was one of our, probably in our top first 50 Japanese maples we had here at MrMaple. And when we started growing this thing, we started realizing how vigorous it is. And it's upright, vigorous, and fairly narrow at an early age. It just gives that bamboo aesthetic with some good bright red spring color, but also cherry red fall color.
Benny Otaki. All right, guys, next we're bringing back Acer Circinatum baby buttons.
This is a Acer Circinatum witch's broom that was introduced by Talon Buckholz. Tight, dense, compact habit. Everything you love about Acer Circinatum, the Pacific Northwest native, but in a more compact habit.
Real bubbly appearance to this one too. That dense, compact habit, typically around 5 foot tall, 4 foot wide, dense and full. You get a real clustering effect. It always wants to be very multi-stemmed, but I love how tight this one is. That larger Acer Circinatum foliage really looks cool in that denser format.
And you can see a multitude of fall colors with baby buttons in the fall. You often get yellows, oranges, and reds in all across the tree, often in the same leaf all across the tree. It's a very showy tree in the fall. It's the Pacific Northwest native. Plant this nativar today.
All right, guys, let's bring back Acer Palmatum Orion, a beautiful witch's broom, also from Red Maple Nurseries and Dick Wolf. This is a classic. I love it for its changes in color. That spring's awesome, but it's really nice that it goes to that golden, yellowy orange.
Yeah, in the fall, this one just stands out. And often it starts off in that yellow and then gets some of that orange color. I did a fall color highlight at Buckholz Nursery when this tree was actually in more of that orange stage. And you should go check that out. You just see that unique shape where it's short, it gets a little bit more width to it. Gives you some nice brick red colors in the spring that's different than many of the other red Japanese maples in that compact habit. But when this tree lights up in the fall, it really puts on the show.
Great container plant. I like that as this one matures, it tends to get a little bit wider. So you get the shorter, denser, rounder canopy to it. Really a fun one. You know, a 6 to 7 foot tall tree can easily get 6 to 7 foot wide. Kind of gives you a real dynamic display, especially when it hits that fall color. Tends to be, as they mature out, you definitely see a little bit more width to them. What you got next, Tim?
Guys, next up we got Ginkgo biloba Beijing Gold. This is a variegated ginkgo that leaves out with sunlight, can be almost a bright yellow in the early spring. It is crazy, and then the summer new growth, you get streaks of variegation on that as well.
You kind of get like a tiger striping in this one. It's pretty cool. Beijing Gold, great plant, introduced by a friend of ours in Holland. This one is a showstopper, guys. I've had this at garden shows, back when we used to do garden shows all the time. I did one at Sacred Heart, the garden festival down there in Augusta, and I had a line. I had probably 25 of these on my table, and people were getting such a frantic that I had to do like a ticket system, like one up, all right, you're next, form a line. They're like, the last people were like, are you still having Beijing Golds? Luckily, I got most of the people in line happy there. If you see this one in spring, especially if it's been in some sunlight, it can just absolutely glow. And now one thing I love about Beijing Gold is this is a variegated ginkgo that I've never had revert. My two favorite ginkgos are Snow Cloud and Beijing Gold that are variegated because, guys, it doesn't revert. It keeps that variegation. Some years may be more pronounced than others. I think a cool, slow spring and then a little bit of sunlight is really ideal for this one. It is absolutely a showstopper. When you get this thing glowing, it absolutely lights up a garden.
Now the secondary flush is really when you start to see more of that variegation. That's where you start to see it mainly on the new growth. Again, we've never seen this tree revert. It may not always show variegation, but in the summer months, that's when you really start to expect to see that unique variegation on Beijing Gold.
Yeah, you'll see a little bit more of the kind of golden on striping on green during the later summer months. Sometimes in the spring, though, it just looks plugged in because all that variegation just makes it pop. Guys, this one's going to work zones 3 through 9. Lime your ginkgos. We say it every time we talk about ginkgos, but it's a great tip. You'll see increased growth on your ginkgos when you lime them. Beijing Gold, one of the absolute best.
Guys, next up, we've got Acer Palmatum Celebration. This is a really nice, bright, picked up, pink-red, reticulated Japanese maple.
Look at these sizes. These are great looking 1 gallons, well branched from the Buckholz farm, guys. These are absolutely ready to go out and make a presence in the garden, in the spring garden. They're going to show out. I love that neon pink you get. I actually like these a lot midsummer because that later summer growth will be a little greener, but you get that almost metallic-y pink going on in that late summer flush. It's a showstopper. You've heard us say a lot about Celebration. You know, many people believe it could be Talon's greatest introduction of all time. And you got a lineup like Talon Buckholz. That's like picking the greatest Beatles song. It's up there. It's up there in the hits. Absolutely love it. Great red fall color as well, but Celebration coming at you in some XL beauties.
Guys, next up, we've got Ramona. In the early spring, you get some really nice orange pinks out of this. And then later, you get just a nice green. Midsummer, that's when this tree, late spring to midsummer is when this tree really shines. The bottom part of the foliage starts going to a yellow-green. The top new growth is a pink-orange. And the contrast between the two is outrageous.
I was really surprised to see this one where it showed up on our top 75 trees in 2024. You'll have to check out that podcast to see how high Ramona got up on the Customer Choice Awards for 2025 for Japanese maples here. I love it. Ruffled leaf, Reminds me a little bit of Orange Dream, but kind of a more ruffled, more elegant form of that. I really like it, especially like he was saying, that late summer really tends to be one of the ones showing out, getting my attention. Great mid-sized plant, 5 to 6 foot tall in that kind of size range in 10 years. I think you want to give us some late day shade in your hotter zones, but Ramona, it will light up a spot in the garden. You're going to do the joke about, hey, if you hadn't got any plants since last year, now's the time to get... it's the old dad joke. We make it every year. But if your significant other says, hey, quit buying plants, you can say, I hadn't bought any plants since last year. Happy New Year's. It's a whole new plant year. All those 2024 purchases, those don't count. Those don't count toward how many plants you bought. It's a whole new year. You're at a very low number of plants. Keep grabbing new plants.
Y'all, last up on today's 10 at 10, we have Acer palmatum tattoo, a selection introduced in the trade by Dick Wolf. Tight, dense layering habit, slower growing than Macawa, a little more ruffled to the leaf. These are small 1 gallons. It takes a while for this tree to get some size to it. It is much slower growing than Macawa Yetabusa.
Yeah, typically only about 3 foot, even in 10 years. It's one of the more dwarf forms of Macawa. Looks great in a container. If you set them side by side, you'll notice this one has a little bit more ruffled of a leaf as well. Absolute showstopper of a plant, though. I'll grab you a tattoo today.
Thank you all so much for jumping in today's 10 at 10. The other 10 trees you can find in that weekly email. You can sign up for it on MrMaple.com. Y'all, jump in very quickly. Many of these trees will sell out quickly on MrMaple.com. Make sure you check out fast. Take care.
God bless.
And have a great day.